am back with another book video, guys. I love talking about books. It's my favorite thing. These are my books that I've read in September. It's 7 of them, and mostly I'm just gonna give like a brief overview, my rating, and then a quote that I really liked from the book. I always try to find a quote that's usually my review. On Goodreads, I write reviews, but it's really just a quote. And because it stood out to me, it was either really meaningful to me or societal or just something that is beautifully written. Like sometimes it's like, oh, that I don't relate to that at all. But the way that it was written, my soul. Um, so to begin, I have Open Throat by Henry Hoke. One of my favorite book tubers. Yes, booktubers. I'm pretty sure his at is Book Bench. He had read this book, I think, for his August review, and it's about a queer mountain lion, and I just think that is super interesting. I think you being able to write something so unrealistic, but making it so relatable, is beautiful. So I gave this one 4 stars. Didn't find too many tabs. There's only 3 of them. I don't know if you can see them. However, I am going to read one to you. So part of like a little context for this quote is that the mountain lion lives under the not New York, Hollywood sign, and the hikers go up there and litter. I think I just lied to you. Yeah, I think that's what it is. No, yeah, litter, and there is a group of homeless people that's somewhere over there too, and some like the mountain lion isn't welcomed. So yeah, the context. Anyway, the quote is hands that could be grabbing bottles and throwing, but instead are wrapped together and connected. And I'm just like, yes, guys, love. Like, don't be violent, be caring, be loving. So yes, Open Throat by Henry Hoke, 4 stars, 4 or 5. All right, next I have Woman by Chloe Caldwell. Honestly, all I can say about this book was that this woman who hadn't come to terms with her sexuality yet moves to another city and meets this older butch lesbian who's in a relationship, and they start to develop their own relationship, their own affair. Me personally, I know a lot of like while I was looking at this book and seeing if I would like it online, I would see a lot of people going, wow, like this is the lesbian book, this is the queer book for women, the sapphic book. I disagree. I don't like affairs, even though I know they're realistic and it happens, and you just kind of fall in love with who you fall in love with. I don't like affairs. I think it's icky. I think it's gross. So I kind of just couldn't get through it. I basically rushed this book. Me and my friend read it. She felt the same way. We gave it 3 stars. My quote, however, is in the foreword by Katie Henney. So she says, I would know if I was bisexual or gay. I thought I needed to know everything before I could do anything. And one should know everything by one's late 20s, right? And that doesn't personally relate to me. However, I know how coming to terms with your sexuality can be, especially when you grew up in a way that it's never talked about or it's talked about in a negative manner. And of course, you're not going to know yourself by your early 20s. Like, I'm 19. I don't know myself. I still have another 50 years to figure it out, another 60, another 40. So, yes, that was that was Chloe. That was Woman by Chloe Caldwell. 3 stars. Next, I have There by Tommy Orange. I thought this book was pretty interesting. It is a story about 8. No, I think it's more than 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 native characters, and they somehow all relate to one another. So there's like this big powwow that's going on. They live in Oakland, California, and most of them don't know each other, or some of them don't know each other. But they all end up like intertwined, relating to this powwow. And there's another character. There's some other characters that aren't like labeled as the main 12, that are also pretty significant. And it's very interesting to read everyone's stories, and it's kind of like a OMG when you find out that 2 characters or 3 characters are interconnected. I gave this one 3.5 stars. I didn't like the ending necessarily. I was pretty upset also by the way that the story went, even though I knew it was gonna go there. But it wasn't bad. I enjoyed it. It was an experience. I had fun. So this is my quote. It is from one of the characters, Thomas Frank. I'm actually about to list the characters because I don't remember who that is. Thomas Frank. Let me see. Okay, he was a drummer. That'll make sense if you read the story. Okay, he says, or it says, "You're from a people who took and took and took and took, and from a people taken. You were both and neither. When you took baths, you'd stare at your brown arms against your white legs in the water and wonder what they were doing together on the same body in the same bathtub." A little context: Thomas Frank is mixed, so he's half native, half white, so that makes sense. Or yeah, but 3.5 stars out of 5. There by Tommy Orange. Next we have Small Rain by Garth Greenwell. I really enjoyed this book. These are my tabs if you can see them. I like this book, I think particularly because I am a nursing major and this book is set in the ICU. So basically this character, I don't remember his name. He has like this pain, and it's like super sudden, and it basically turns his life upside down for a couple of days. So he goes into the ICU, and it's like in the midst of COVID, and his lover can't like come see him, so he's like feeling this loneliness, and he's like having conversations with the nurses, and he's like getting perspectives on what it is like inside the hospital, given that he's never really been. It really explores the American healthcare system. There's just like certain things that you can't do because of the way that the American system is set up. Specifically, it talks about that him and his partner, they're not married, and because of that, their insurance costs more than if they were married. And they're like lifetime partners, but they just don't want to marry, which I feel like is valid, you know. So stuff like that, it really goes into depth about. Yeah, So I'm gonna read my part. It's closer to the end, but I thought it was beautiful. I thought it was really, really good. Let me get to it. Okay. So this is during the midst while he's still in the hospital. But again, it's closer to the end of the book. So it says, "What a strange thing a body is, I thought. How eerie to be filled with blood and covered with hair, to be a machine any part of which might fail. And how strange to have hated it so much, when it has always been so serviceable, when it has done more or less everything I needed until now, when for more than 40 years it had worked so well. Poor body, I thought again, looking down on it. I had hated it so much and been so ashamed, and I might have loved it instead. I thought suddenly it had been all that time available for love, and it had never occurred to me to love it. I would have seemed impossible. Or sorry, it would have seemed impossible, as it seemed impossible now." I just thought that was so beautiful. I was like, oh my god. Yeah. Slightly relatable. I thought it was really beautiful. I thought that was great. And I gave it 4 stars, I think, because of that. Because it was a really good book, but it was a little slow and tedious at times. The font is really small, and it's not too long. It's like almost 300 pages, or a little over 300 pages. So it's not too long, but it's just really slow and really particular in the stuff that it's elaborating, and it goes into little anecdotes all the time. There's like a little story here and there about something that kind of doesn't relate to what was just said. There's also no cutoffs. Like, it's a long paragraph a lot of the times, but that quote, so good. 4 stars. Okay, next, if y'all remember in my last video, I went back to the queer bookstore that is near me, and I decided to pick up another book. I knew absolutely nothing about this book. I think it's the author's debut, and it's fairly recent, so there's not a lot of reviews on it either, but it is a gay happy novel by Samuel Oliver. And I'm gonna be a little frank, I didn't really care for this book. I gave it 3 stars, which might be a little generous. However, it is about this freshman. He's going to college, and he's basically just discovering his sexuality, or accepting his sexuality and exploring it. It's kind of stereotypical. It's not anything special, which I feel like that's rude, but it's not, and that's okay, you know. I only tapped one thing, and I kind of just tapped it just because. But however, it says, "Here with them, I was welcome to live my life as a proud gay man, finding his way in the world." Again, nothing special. I thought it was still an interesting read. A little smutty. I've read part of it in my class, and I was like, oh, not smutty. There was like a couple of sex scenes. But I liked them because they were genuine. It wasn't anything crazy. However, I was in my class, and I was like, oh, wasn't expecting that. So, but again, a gay happy novel by Samuel Oliver, 3 stars. Okay, this one is my favorite book out of the entire month. It is Ponyboy by Eliot Duncan. This follows a trans man named Ponyboy. Ponyboy is an addict. He's just doing all this stuff, taking all this stuff, and mixing that with love. I don't know, I just thought this book was great. I just really loved it. I was always wanting to read it. It took me a little bit longer to read it than all the other books I had read, but yeah, I was always just wanting to read it. It was written so well. And it was interesting. Like, I know a lot of times a book about kind of just like drugs, alcohol, and sex can become a cliche, but I think maybe it was the addition of the trans identity, um, the addition of rehab. It was just really well. So, my quote is, what you wanted was simple. I get that. To live in the way that makes sense to you. To wear thick denim jeans. Stop. We're going to try that again. What you wanted was simple. I get that. To live in the way that makes sense to you. To wear thick denim jackets, steps wide, chin cocked. To fuck the way that made sense to you and does to me. But they wanted you to reproduce, a vessel for the desire of your parents and their parents and theirs and then theirs before. I mean, what you wanted was simpler than what they wanted of you. They marked you dangerous, insane, perverted to invalidate your hand turned in their insidious expectations. Cross your legs unless a man wants to shove themselves into you, unless you're given birth. And it goes on a little bit more. For context, this was a letter written to a trans man who had died before Ponyboy was born, and he, I think, recently finds out about the incident, or maybe he's always known, and he's reflecting off of himself by writing this letter to Brandon. So it goes on a little bit more, but I thought that specific excerpt of it was particularly special. So I give this one 5 out of 5 stars. Super fun, super good. I really enjoyed this. And then last but not least, Minor Detail by Adania Shibli. The story follows 2 parts of follows 2 women in Palestine. One was a little girl set in like 1950s, and she was raped and killed by Israeli soldiers. And then the second part follows an older woman. She's grown, and she finds out about that certain case and becomes interested in it. I thought this book is important given the times, given what's happening. I think it's not too big, but I think a lot of people need to read it. My quote: and again, a group of soldiers capture a girl, rape her, then kill her. 25 years to the day before I was born. This minor detail, which others might not give a second thought, will stay with me forever. In spite of everything and how hard I try to forget it, the truth of it will never stop chasing me, given how fragile I am, as weak as the trees out there past the window pane. I think the concept of a minor detail and an obsession over that minor detail is relatable anywhere. However, I think given the story and what that minor detail was about, is such an important event. An important event, not in the book, but I think given the time that I'm reading it, that's important. It just makes the book utterly special. I think the ending particularly was chilling. I think the rest of it, though, I think it's purposely written a little mundane, because there's nothing in the sense of like the second woman. There's nothing special about this war and this genocide that has been going on against her people for decades. So to see another woman, or to find out another woman die by the hands of Israeli soldiers, that's nothing special to her. However, that connection of that this happened on her birthday, 25 years prior to her being born, it's understandable. I give that one 4 out of 5. 4 out of 5 stars. So that was my reading for September. It is not October, so we're gonna get a little spooky. Yes. I'm also thinking about another video to be posted this month too, instead of just doing once a month. But we will see. This is super fun. Stay reading. Stay knowledgeable.